Hi there, it's Sonia. So if you're wondering if pelvic floor exercises will help with incontinence, it absolutely will if you do it the right way. So what we think of the pelvic floor and what I see most functional of the pelvic floor is that people work almost the most superficial part of the pelvic floor. So if you go to the bathroom and you try to stop number one from happening, or even number two, those are more, I think of as the sphincters that, they're the last ditch effort of something to work. And there's a need for them. I'm not saying that you can't use them. What's higher than them is a layer of muscle, more maybe soft tissue is how I like to think of it. And even above that, how all of this works together, multi-dimensions. So this direction from front to back all matter, because our organs don't just work one way, they work very many, and then everything gets changed with also whether we're still moving and also what direction we're moving. So lying down will be different than sitting. So if we were to not try to use the Kegel muscles, and you were to try to lift up, in other videos I have an explanation of the pubic bone, sit bone, the two sit bones, pubic bone, tailbone, and how to lengthen them. But what you want to try to do is contract up. You should feel front and back a little bit. So how I can tell visually is how well it integrates into other muscles. So I'll teach people the best I can verbally, and then I have to see them move to then create different movements to see how well they feed into other muscles, because that tells me functionality and how well they're working together, because pelvic floor just isn't an exercise like abdominal curl-ups. So it's a little bit in the gray area. The space between your number one muscles and your number two muscles is actually pretty important. That, if you can think of gently lifting, so it's, it's here, and here, it's in the middle, like it's closer to my spine than actually anything I can touch. But there, you want to try to lift up and then add the sphincter of the number one and number two, and then gently release and kind of play around with it. I mean, the hard part is a lot of us get into our psoas, which connects our spine to our legs. That's definitely not the pelvic floor. That's honestly not even an abdominal muscle, but it feels like our lower abs, so people tighten it way too much. It also then affects the breathing. Most pelvic floor dysfunction comes with breath and neck problems, and so it's a lot more complicated than people realize, which is why resting doesn't help, meds don't work, and those Kegel balls or those Kegel tools don't also work. But once you can figure out the organs of the pelvic floor, and the hammock is what I always go for, it's gonna help you the best with incontinence.